Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. The Sun Belt Conference really made a name for themselves in 2020 thanks to the emergence of teams like Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, Appalachian State, of course, and the conference as a whole going 4-1 in bowl games. You can expect the Sun Belt Conference to be even more fun to watch and even more competitive in 2021. Today, guys, we are taking a look at our projected Sun Belt Conference standings for the 2021 college football season. We went through, predicted every game for each team. Of course, we're not going to be breaking down those game-by-game predictions, but we are going to give you some brief analysis on all these teams today. So again, guys, thank you for joining us here at the Gridiron Expert. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for those picks today before the season starts. Same thing goes for PrizePicks, guys. We will become your own fantasy football consultant if you go sign up over there using our promo code or the link down in the description. So make sure to go give both of those a look. So we take a look at the Sun Belt. Let's just go ahead and dive right on into it over in the East Division. And I don't think it's any surprise for anyone that Coastal Carolina is at the top of the division for us. Perfect 12-0 record for Coastal Carolina in 2021. 12-0, 8-0 in conference. How can you not pick the Chanticleers? Jamie Chadwell did an unbelievable job with this team last year. They started the year 11-0. They were undefeated going into their bowl game before falling in overtime to Liberty. And that's my argument, guys. Many will say it's hard to go 12-0, and you're right. But if the Chanticleers can go 11-0 last year before their first loss, I don't see why it's that far-fetched to think they can go 12-0 in the regular season. Very favorable non-conference schedule. The toughest game is the road game at Appalachian State. They beat the Mountaineers by 11 last year, and the Chanticleers will have 13 days to prepare for that game. Grayson McCall's back at quarterback. Javon Hiley is back as the top wide receiver. 10 starters are back on defense, one that ranked 19th in the nation in scoring, 31st nationally in total defense. Chadwell is on the market, guys. He is a phenomenal head coach. Last year was no fluke for Coastal Carolina. I think they are the team to beat in the Sun Belt, and we have them going undefeated in conference or on the year, undefeated total. Right behind them is Appalachian State. Obviously, Coastal Carolina's most difficult threat in their own division. It should be mentioned that Coastal Carolina does avoid Louisiana out of the West, and that's a major reason that I also think they can go undefeated. Appalachian State, 9-3, 6-2 in conference play. They went 9-3 last year, have 17 starters back from that team. The million-dollar question is, can Chase Bryce be the answer at quarterback? He struggled mightily at Duke last year. It was a turnover machine. But we know he has potential. He was a highly touted recruit and a highly touted transfer for a reason. He might fit very well here at Appalachian State. Factor in that he has Cameron Peoples and Corey Sutton at running back and wide receiver. 9 starters back on defense, one that ranked 16th nationally in scoring, 18th nationally in total. This App State team is a team to beat. Very, very, very tough team. But I will say that, while many people want to say that they can maybe challenge Coastal Carolina, not only do they have to face the Chanticleers, they have to travel to Louisiana, and they have a couple difficult non-conference games as well. So App State, 9-3, but again, a shot at a 10-win season and another solid bowl appearance. Georgia State, right behind them, 6-6, going bowling. I love Sean Elliott, and the expectations now for the Panthers is to just get to the postseason. Consistently go bowling, and he is doing that with Georgia State. And there's an opportunity, guys, for Georgia State to maybe go up to 7-5, maybe even 8-4 this year. They have 11 starters back on offense. Everybody is back on offense. That includes their dangerous dual threat quarterback, Cornelius Brown. That includes their star wide receiver, Sam Pinckney. They returned 9 starters on defense. If the secondary can improve, they were 113th versus the pass last year. And if their secondary improve, Georgia State could get to that 7 or 8 win mark, one of the best seasons in program history. The majority of their winnable games are at home, and I think they're going to be a tough out for any team, especially offensively. Ride with Sean Elliott, guys. Sometimes I believe that his passion, energy, and love for the game is unmatched by any coach out there. Georgia State 6-6, 4-4 in conference play. Rounding out the East, Troy and Georgia Southern, both at 5-7. We have the Trojans at 4-4. We have the Eagles at 3-5 in conference play. And here's the thing. Both these teams have the potential to go bowling. Both these teams have the coaches and the talent to go bowling. It's just the schedules don't line up very well for them. Troy returns like Georgia State, all 11 starters on offense, led by their star quarterback Gunnar Watson, an offense that averaged 290.2 passing yards per game, led by Chip Lindsey as their head coach, a great offensive mind. The defense was 61st for the Trojans last year, so not all that bad either. But you look at the schedule. They draw Liberty in the non-conference, at Southern Miss, out at South Carolina, Louisiana, at Coastal Carolina, and that's just to name a few of their games. Very, very difficult games where they could be underdogs in all 5 of those that we just mentioned and could lose all 5 of those that we just mentioned, meaning the room for error in terms of the postseason is very slim. Same goes for Georgia Southern. Dangerous triple option they want to run, but Shai Werts is gone off to Louisville. J.D. King got injured last year, should be back fully healthy, but can he carry this offense alone? Not sure if he can do that. Yes, the Eagles won their bowl game last year to finish 8-5. Fantastic year for Chad Lunsford. 14 starters are back too. But look at the schedule. They draw Louisiana and Arkansas State out of the West. They go to Troy. They go to Texas State, a team that's improving. They go to Appalachian State. Of course, host Coastal Carolina, but they're Coastal Carolina. Very difficult schedule for the Eagles, guys, where I think they're going to need a little bit of help to go to the postseason. And I think they take a major step back, solely due to the difficult schedule. You move over to the West. It's Louisiana's division to lose, guys. I mean, Coastal Carolina actually has some competition in their division. Appalachian State could challenge Coastal for that division crown, and the Mountaineers host that game. So it's not a shoe-in by any means for the Chanticleers. If anybody but Louisiana wins the West, it's going to be a shock. And we just don't see that happening, guys. You can see there is a 4-game differential in conference play between Louisiana and Arkansas State, who we believe comes in second in the West. Now, it might be a surprise to you that we have the Raging Cajuns going 10-2, 2 losses. Well, let's keep in mind that the season opener is at Texas, and we do believe they will fall to the Longhorns. There's 1 loss there, and I do believe that Louisiana falls in conference play to somebody. I believe they will fall to someone. They draw Liberty. They are on the road to Liberty. They go on the road to Arkansas State. A couple trap games here and there for the Raging Cajuns where I just don't see them running the table in conference play, and even if they do, they very well could lose to Liberty. I think this is a 2-loss team in my eyes, despite the 20 starters coming back, despite Levi Lewis coming back at quarterback. The big losses, though, obviously are losing Trey Regis, losing Eli Mitchell at running back. That's a huge, huge loss, both of those in the running game. So this is a Louisiana team led by Billy Napier, a guy who I think leaves to take a head coaching job at a Power 5 school very soon. A team that is the tough out in the West, tough out in the Sun Belt Conference, but one that maybe you could say takes a minor step back, if that. 10-2 with a spot in the championship game, still not too bad to me. Right behind them, Arkansas State, 5-7, 3-5. Huge gap between first and second in the West. But Butch Jones is in. Arkansas State made a fantastic hire by bringing in Butch Jones to coach the Red Wolves. A guy that was a head coach at Tennessee, was serving under Nick Saban on his staff, now is the head man in Jonesboro, where the offense will be solid. Quarterback Lane Hatcher is phenomenal, although he does lose his top wide receiver in Jonathan Adams. The defense really is the biggest thing for Arkansas State. That was their downfall last year with Blake Anderson. They could have been better, but their defense was horrendous, gave up 314 passing yards per game. The defense, to me, despite returning 8 starters, still needs a lot of work. And again, when you have one of the worst secondaries in the nation, that's a tough fix. That's not something that you can just change that drastically in the span of one season. So I look at Arkansas State, guys, 5-7, 3-5. They have opportunities. They host Coastal Carolina. They host Appalachian State. They host Louisiana. They're hosting in Jonesboro the top 3 teams in the Sun Belt Conference. On top of that, they host Memphis out of the American. The opportunities are there for Butch Jones to put his stamp on Arkansas State early. But I just think the schedule is too tough. I think the defense is too bad. And Arkansas State isn't able to get that one little upset win they need. They fall just short of the postseason. 5-7 in Jones' inaugural year. Texas State right behind them, 4-8, 3-5 in conference play. A lot of people might be shocked by that. The Bobcats went 2-10 last year, but 4 of those 10 losses were by 1 possession. So easily could have been a bowl year for Texas State. They easily could have won 6 games. Or even just 4 or 5 would have been great for Jake Spavital with Texas State. 16 starters are back, though. The offense took a major step forward. We saw that with Brady McBride, finally a competent quarterback under center. The defense is really what just needs the most help for the Bobcats. If they can improve a little bit defensively, Texas State, I don't think goes bowling, but I do think they can win 4 games. We have 3 of those 4 coming in conference play. They were a tough out for a lot of teams last year. They're going to win some conference games this year. They're going to be a tough out year, week in and week out. And I believe they come in third in the West. Again, the weaker of the two divisions of the Sun Belt, but still showing that Texas State maybe is trending in the right direction. Now, this is an odd little setup here, guys. South Alabama has the better overall record than Texas State, but yet we have them below Texas State in the standings because South Alabama, we believe, has one less conference win than the Bobcats. So Texas State 4-8 overall, but wins 3 conference games. South Alabama 5-7 overall, only wins 2 conference games, and that is because South Alabama has a very, very favorable non-conference. They could go 3-1 in the non-conference, guys. The one loss coming at Tennessee. The other 3, though, was it Bowling Green, Alcorn State, guys like that. I think Southern Miss maybe. Very, very favorable. All games that South Alabama could be favored in. They now add a brand new head coach, Kane Womack, coming in, the defensive coordinator at Indiana, now returning to South Alabama. I thought was a fantastic hire, a guy to kind of put some energy and passion into this program. This is a team that I think for a while had the talent to do some damage. They just didn't know how to use it. Womack will know how to use it. Tack on, they have a very experienced quarterback now, Jake Bentley, former quarterback at South Carolina, former quarterback at Utah. Feels like he's been in college for 20 years, is now quarterbacking the Jaguars. This is a team that will flirt with bowl eligibility, guys. We have them at 5-7, kind of like Arkansas State. One upset win away from going bowling in Womack's first year with the Jaguars, and that would be extremely impressive. Rounding out the West, rounding out the Sun Belt as a whole, Louisiana Monroe, ULM. We have them at 1-11. Don't be surprised if this team goes 0-12. I love the Terry Bowden hire, the big-time name, should help with recruiting, but kind of like some of these teams we mentioned, ULM went 0-10 last year. They allowed 42 points per game. They allowed 249.3 rushing yards per game. They only averaged 16.3 points per game on offense. All of that, those are big fixes, guys, and those aren't fixes you're going to see in 1 year. You might see slight improvement, but nothing drastic enough to suggest that ULM is going to be a major contender this year or even flirt with bowl eligibility. Bowden can get them there if they give him time. Again, I think it's a fantastic hire, an intriguing hire for sure. But ULM is not going to do anything in the Sun Belt this year, guys. They don't really have any talent on this team. Give him 2, 3, 4 years, and maybe he can get this team to being competitive and competent again in the Sun Belt, maybe flirting with bowls, but that's just not going to happen in 2021. ULM, without a doubt, the worst team in the Sun Belt. So after all that, guys, the Sun Belt Championship game will be Coastal Carolina versus Louisiana. Of course, the home team is going to be the team with the better record. That is Coastal Carolina. So Louisiana will travel to Conway to take on the Chanticleers. Now remember, this is what the conference championship game should have been last year. It was going to be Coastal versus Louisiana. That game could not be played due to COVID. So this is getting the championship game that we all rightfully deserve. It will live up to the hype. Coastal Carolina maybe could be in the mix for a NY6 Bowl game at this point, depending on what Cincinnati does in the American. Should be a top 15 team at this point. And I think Louisiana is a top 25 team. So you're going to see a top 25 Sun Belt Conference Championship game. And I can guarantee you that's something that no one thought possible 5 years ago. Maybe even as soon as 3 years ago. And this is the game, guys, that remember last year, Coastal Carolina went into Louisiana and beat the Raging Cajuns. And that's when we knew the Chanticleers were for real. Well, now they're at home. A chance to clinch their first ever conference title. I think Coastal Carolina and Jamie Chadwell get it done. I simply think that their offense, and as difficult as it is to stop, as confusing as it is too much for this elite Louisiana defense. And I think if Coastal Carolina can hone in on the pass and shut down Levi Lewis, keep him in the pocket, they can slow down a run game that I don't think is non-existent by any means, but a running game for Louisiana that's not going to be nearly as good as it was last year. Tack on home field advantage, tack on the appeal of going 13-0. Jamie Chadwell will not let this game get away from Coastal. They will not lose this game at home. Anywhere else, maybe, but not at home. Coastal Carolina will win the Sun Belt Conference. They will be in the mix for a NY6 Bowl game. I believe they are 13-0. They will have a chance to complete an undefeated season, something they were so close to doing last year. I've got a good feeling they're going to get it this year. So guys, there you go. The Sun Belt Conference, the Fun Belt, as many like to call it, because it will be fun this year. It will be one of the most intriguing Group of 5 conferences in the country. You're not going to want to miss out on it. But that's who we've got. Coastal Carolina winning the conference. And we have a handful of these teams, just 4, but a handful of these teams making bowl games while the rest will be competitive week in and week out. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes the expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure you sign up for those today before the season starts. That includes the PrizePicks. Use our link and promo code there so we can help you win in some fantasy football. Make sure to go check that out. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.